So we wanted to know if an impact window can stop a bullet. The answer is no. However, we wanted to test that out. There's some other videos of other companies, other guys hitting it with sledgehammers, hammers, crowbars, baseball bats, 2x4s. But we figured the ultimate test, and we were also curious to find out how the impact windows would perform against a bullet. So we took a series of bullets to the range with us, along with a bunch of windows. We placed a watermelon behind the windows for effect so we can also see how much force those bullets had when they hit the watermelon behind the window, and we wanted to see what the end result was. So just starting off with what we took to the range, we took a 22, we took a 9mm, a 300 Blackout, 5.56 round, 308. We have a 300, but it's not here. We also took a 12 gauge double odd buck round and a 50 caliber BMG round. This is also fired from a Browning machine gun. This is a very large round, as you can see. So the ultimate result was that the impact windows were not bulletproof. However, what we were surprised with was how well they held up after being shot. The amount of force that these bullets produce is mind-blowing. There's not a lot of things on this planet that can stop this round. Once again, impact windows were definitely not one of them. But the fact that after I shot it 3 times, we could see that the impact windows still had a good amount of integrity. That's when I decided to take the 2x4 and hit it. I remember when I first hit that 2x4, or first hit that impact window, and I want to say I hit it with probably about 70-80% strength, and the amount of integrity I felt at the end of that 2x4, I believe I hit it 5 more times, and I want to say that I went up to about as hard as I can swing, full force, not holding anything back. And I was actually pleasantly surprised to see how much force that window can take. I want to say that I was a little bit gassed after hitting it 6 times repeatedly as hard as I could. I also had the microphone on me, so I didn't want to. I wanted to be able to speak after the video. But like I said, I was surprised by how well that window held up after taking that much of a beating. Making our way down, I want to say I was somewhat disappointed with the 12 gauge. This is a double odd round. There are 10 BBs. They are 1.2 ounces each. These are shot at 1450 feet per second, if I can get these out of here. So these are shot at 1450 feet per second. These are 1.2 ounce BBs. And, when you think about a shotgun, and, you think about a shotgun for home defense and how much damage these rounds can produce, I was actually surprised that the 12 gauge round was probably, I don't want to say the most disappointing, but the least impressive. It took 3 rounds of the 12 gauge going through the impact window to completely obliterate or destroy the watermelon completely. The first round went straight through the window and there was severe damage to the watermelon. However, we did put 2 more rounds through it and a total of 12 rounds. And even after taking 12 rounds with a 12 gauge double odd buck round, the window still had pretty good integrity. Obviously there were holes in the window. There's no question about that. We couldn't take the window and install it tomorrow. However, the fact that the window still had some strength to it and could take additional damage was very surprising. The next round down was the 308. This is a very common round in a sniper rifle used by the U.S. Army. And this was probably, after the 5.56, was the first and most exciting round that destroyed the watermelon. Very powerful rifle, and I want to say it was one of my favorites to shoot. The impact glass didn't stand a chance. And the 5.56 is a very common round. You see that in what people refer to as assault rifles, AR-15s, and this was a very impressive display. This was the first round that we used that created a big impact on the watermelon. The watermelon just completely blew up. This was exciting. These rounds were all shot through 7/16 glass. These rounds, and we're missing one here, was shot through 5/16 glass. I showed I showed one of our manufacturers some of our windows after they were already shot. It was a different manufacturer than the windows that we took out to the range, and the windows that they make are 9/16, and he thought, or he was saying, that his windows would be stronger, and I told him, you have no chance with any of these rounds versus the 9/16. I know it's 2/16 of an inch thicker, but I still think even the 22 wouldn't have a problem getting through that. If the 22 had barely made it through, maybe he had some ground to stand on, but that was not the case. I am very confident that any of these rounds would pierce a 9/16 glass. We actually do offer bulletproof glass and bulletproof applications. It is a very thick piece of glass, and those bulletproof glasses, there are different classes of bulletproof glass. Like your standard can probably go up to a 45, but as soon as you start to get into the 300 Blackout, 223, 556, 308, 12 gauge, and especially a 50 cal, I mean the 50 cal is in its class of its own. There's no question about that. But it just becomes a heavier, thicker, or more expensive glass as you go up. We'll do a separate video about bulletproof glass. However, coming back here, we had our 300 Blackout. I want to say, in regards to disappointment, the 300 Blackout and the 12 gauge, I was a little disappointed in. The 300 Blackout, this is a subsonic round. It's a very heavy bullet. There's not a lot of powder behind it. So the final result was just like a very clean hole through the watermelon. It wasn't like, a massive explosion. And once again, the watermelon was not obliterated by the round that went through there. Getting into the 9mm and the 22, obviously we didn't really have high hopes. We even questioned if these two rounds were going to make their way through the glass and then through the watermelon. They both did. And, it just didn't really put on much of a show. You can see the entrance of the watermelon, or entrance of the round through the watermelon, and you can see where the round came out on the other side of the watermelon. At the end of the day, it was a pretty cool experiment. Myself and my team were able to go out to the range during Christmas break. It was a nice time for us to get together and run this test. I think it was more fun than an actual experiment. But it was cool to get out there and just see how strong these windows are. This is something that we see and we install every day. Obviously, we believe in the product. We believe in the manufacturers we work with. We think the manufacturers that we work with stand behind their work. They produce a great quality product. There's a lot of manufacturers we don't sell their products because we don't feel like their service is good enough or their product is good enough. We think there's going to have issues, and then who are they going to call first? It's going to be us. But at the end of the day, it was really cool to see how these windows held up after being put through rigorous testing. So it was very exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a fun day for us and a fun experiment. Once again, Bigfoot Construction. We build trust one window at a time. Thank you guys for tuning in.